Hello and welcome to Back 10 by All Out Rugby League, powered by Smart Energy GB, leading the smart meter rollout across the UK. With a smart meter, you can tackle your energy use head on and find smarter ways to save at home. Now, on Monday, England and the squad by Shaun Wane was announced. We now know exactly who will be featuring for England in the Ashes. We're going to get into that, and we're doing so with, without doubt, the most demanded, the most requested guest of the entire series. We've had some huge names on this show, but there's always been one every week in the comments that people have been asking to get, and we've got him. It's been a long time, but welcome back, Josh McAllister.
Thank you very much, Matthew.
It is an honour to be back in here with you.
No, it's an honour to be back. The people have spoken, and here I am. All my burner accounts worked, so thanks for having me back to talk all things England and Ashes.
Of course, Kyle is away on the Steve Prescott Foundation walk in China, and tremendous work he's doing out there. So we needed to find a sub, and we tried really hard. And what actually happened is it was like, oh, right, we finally 14 weeks or whatever we're in succumbed. We're going to have to ask Josh back.
Yeah,
that's what happened.
Well, I'll take it because the studio's looking great. Your audience has grown, and all we're missing now is Smelsy. So I'll say hello to him. He'll be listening in. But yeah, looking forward to the next 20 minutes or so talking all things England.
Yeah, he's going to be getting FOMO right now, isn't he?
Absolutely, yeah.
Poor guy. But anyway, we're going to get more from Josh shortly. But for now, make sure that you've liked and subscribed. Make sure that you're getting notifications on all of our content. And don't forget to hit that hype button that Kyle tells you about every week. Swipe across on YouTube. Click that hype button and it makes sure that we get out to audiences much farther and wider, and we can keep bringing this content to you. With that, let's get into the show. So then, on Monday, Shaun Wane finally revealed his England squad for the Ashes series. 24 players named. Some surprising calls, some not so surprising calls. Plenty to get into. Josh, I'm going to throw it straight at you. The squad, do you agree or do you disagree?
Yeah, it's hard to disagree on some patches, and I agree on most of it. There's some big names that we'll go into that haven't been included, and of course the big one that was discussed straight away on Monday in Shaun Wane's presser was Jake Connor. Now, I know we could probably talk about half an hour on Jake Connor, but for me, I just don't see where he fits in the halves. Obviously, Man of Steel, Shaun Wane said that he doesn't care about personal accolades, he doesn't care about Man of Steel, he doesn't see Super League Dream Team, it's about what he sees on the field. And I think Jake Connor has been superb this year, obviously best player, but I just don't see where he gets in the halves over George Williams. George Williams was always going to be in there. He's his captain. Harry Smith, the commander of Wigan, and Mikey Lewis, who's last year's Man of Steel and led Hull KR to a historic treble-winning year. I just don't see where Jake Connor fits in the halves. Now, having said that, maybe there's a place for him in the 24-man squad, and he could have played in the centres. We've got two centres there in Herbie Farnworth and Jake Wardle. Now, Jake Wardle, to me, might be a little bit hit after a long season. Took a few big hits as well during the grand final. He could have been the potential third option for centre there. AJ Brimson, again, another one, an Aussie that's playing for England with the English mother, isn't it? Jake Connor, for me, maybe could have been in the centres, and you just give him the ball early if he plays and hope that he does something magic. But that's the big talking point this week, isn't it?
Yeah, I think with Connor, I think what we have to appreciate is we haven't been in Shaun Wane's position where he's had trust. He's been able to build trust in players, right? And he's been around them and they've done a job for him. They've not done a job for us as a coach. So like, if I was picking a squad right now, going in brand new, I'd go with the players that I think are playing best right now, and I would pick Jake Connor. But I understand why Shaun Wane, because he talks about credit in the bank a lot, right? Mm-hmm. And George Williams has done it for him for over a decade now with Wigan and with England. So I completely understand why George Williams, in the eyes and in the mind of Shaun Wane, is a lock, because he's got that evidence and that trust in him, where he hasn't had that with Jake Connor. So I can see both sides of it. I can understand why everyone wants Jake Connor in, and I would have Jake Connor in the squad going in as a new head coach. But I also completely understand Shaun Wane's reason not for having, because Harry Smith's done it for him as well. Him and George Williams have done it together. And even Mikey Lewis did it, didn't he, in the Tonga series? He got man of the match in the first game when George Williams was suspended. So I get it. I also understand why people can't get their head around Jake Connor not being in. That would, I know that's a very diplomatic, and I am now diplomatic and sitting on the fence as host of this show. But I can see both sides of it. What was interesting, one thing he told us on Monday, Shaun Wane, in the Back 10 interview, which was an interesting insight. Maybe not surprising, but still a revelation. George Williams will start. So we know that George Williams will be in the halves with one of Smith or Lewis. The other interesting thing that he said on Monday was Mikey Lewis has given him more to think about. And I think he used the phrase changed his mind based on his grand final appearance. I've been adamant it would be Williams and Smith throughout. Not so sure now.
Yep, I've been exactly the same. I think most of the year I've been thinking Williams and Smith will be the two. But and Smith, because of his kicking game, as I said, he's Wigan's commander. He controls games. But Mikey Lewis has proved that he can do the exact same. He's had to take on a lot of the kicking game at Hull KR alongside Tyrone May. I think Lewis is the leading kicker there on the last. And I think he's proved that he can do it. And he's proved that he can do it on the big stages. All year we've been asking questions of Hull KR and Mikey Lewis. Can they deliver? Can they deliver? And he absolutely delivered at Old Trafford in the Super League Grand Final. So now I'm thinking that he goes with Williams and Mikey Lewis, and Harry Smith maybe doesn't get in there. For at least one of them. Obviously, there's 3 tests to go out there, 3 chances for all 3 of them to play. But I think he goes with Williams and Mikey Lewis, especially after your interview with him on Monday.
Let's go into the outside backs, because I thought this was an interesting selection, because there was quite a few options, right, that he could have picked on the wing. And he's gone for Joe Burgess, Dom Young, Tom Johnston. Quite a few people surprised there was no Tom Davies or Liam Marshall. One thing he said, and I would recommend it if you haven't, to go listen to what Shaun Wane said about the wingers in the Back 10 podcast we did on Monday. He said that he's picked his wingers based on athleticism and aerial qualities. And when you look at who are going to be in the outside backs, you can understand where he's coming from there. It's getting the balance of having the people who are starting your sets right with the ball, but also not getting beat in the air. So I thought that was an interesting selection. Are you on board with it?
Yeah, absolutely. And this was the same part of the interview where he said you should be a coach, wasn't it?
That may have been why I brought it up.
So I thought I'd bring it up, and just repeat that. Yeah, absolutely. Joe Burgess, his first recall in a decade, in 10 years, last played in 2015.
I cannot believe it's so long since Joe Burgess played for England. It's a long time. I remember him
10
playing.
years out, yeah.
Wow.
He made his debut against France, then featured twice against New Zealand. 10 years out is a long time, isn't it? So it's been a long journey for him. And for me, I think he starts. I think I go with him and Dom Young. And I think Dom Young was another one who struggled this year. He made that mid-season move to Newcastle Knights, but he said he's got credit in the bank. Another one who's got credit in the bank, and you know what he can deliver on the big stage, and you know what he can do. So yeah, I'm not surprised, I don't think, by the choice of those 3 wingers there. As you say, Lee Marshall and Tom Davies, 2 outstanding players who have had great seasons, but he can only pick 24 players in the squad, and those are the 3 he's gone with, and I don't disagree with him.
It'd have been interesting to see what happened if Ash Hanley were fit. Ash Hanley would have been in the squad. I don't think Harry Newman would have got in. I think Harry Newman was probably the one that got in off Ash Hanley's withdrawal. But it would have been interesting to see where he picked Ash Hanley as well. I think the centres are locks, Farmouth and Wardle. But yeah, it would have been. But
essentially, there is only 2 really centres, aren't they?
Well, he's got Newman, hasn't he?
Newman as well as the backup. Sorry, yeah. So yeah, it would have been interesting on Ash Hanley because he could have provided the sort of winger or centre. And again, he's had a great season. Co-captain of Leeds Rhinos, leading them, and then unfortunate to miss out through injury. So yeah, you might be right there in that Harry Newman's got in there, and Harry Newman himself is a great player, isn't he?
I think he's had a season where he's gone under the radar, but actually been quite good.
Yeah,
to be honest,
he's a threat with ball in hand, isn't he? Mm-hmm. He's a talented player. I'm not sure if he gets a go in this Ashes over, as we say, the 2 choices that we picked there, but maybe he does. Maybe he gets a chance to shine against the Aussies.
Any standout names not in the squad beyond Jake Connor that you were surprised to see miss out?
Luke Thompson was the one for me straight away. Luke Thompson, he said that he started the season so well and then he got that injury. I think it was a calf injury that kept him out a little bit longer than it should have, and he's just not hit the heights. But for me, Luke Thompson's one of the best props in the competition. For him to miss out, I think is a huge call. And another one on that is Brad O'Neill. I think the 2 hookers that he has picked in Litton and Clark are sort of the same type of player. They like to dart from 9. I think he mentioned on the podcast with you Monday, Darryl Clark, when the markers aren't square, likes to go. Yeah. I'm not sure how many of those opportunities you'll get against the Aussies because they are so quick. If you watch the NRL every week, they are unbelievably fast. So I think they're 2 kind of players that are sort of the same. So Brad O'Neill, for me, could have started the game, set that tempo as he did. I thought at Old Trafford, defensively he was solid, but then he was his own biggest enemy when he gave away that tip tackle and was sin binned, and ultimately Hull KR scored from that. But I thought he could have started that platform, and then Litton could have come on from the bench and added something different. So yeah, Brad O'Neill, Luke Thompson, the huge ones for me. Junior Semba was another one we talked about. Now his form hasn't been as strong as it was last year, but I don't know if that's also because he's had to play so many minutes. He's played most games for Wigan, and maybe that other teams have just sort of got his card a little bit now and putting more bodies in front of him because he's such a handful.
What I have found interesting, watching the immediate reaction to this squad being announced, there's a general fit. And listen, it doesn't matter which national team it is, all the comments people disagreeing with the squad selection, because everyone has their own opinion, and and you talk about the ones that you're annoyed aren't in or who are in. But the big theme, the big trend seems to be people saying it's an uninspiring squad. And they reference John Bateman. They reference Alex Walmsley. They reference, even to a lesser extent, Callum Watkins, who have all been around for a very, very long time, but are still in the squad. If we speak specifically about those three, are they uninspiring choices, or are they rightfully in that squad?
Well, John Bateman for me is one that's getting a lot of stick, isn't he, for being in there? But for me, you want a player that's going to be aggressive and he's going to be in their faces, and you want a player that's going to get under their skins. And he does that every week in the NRL. He's defensively, he's solid. He works so hard. He might not offer the lines that other back rowers might do and the lines that he might have once produced. But if you want a player that's going to get under the Aussie skin, John Bateman is absolutely the one. So I had no problems with him being in there. Alex Walmsley and Callum Watkins, they bring all the experience in the world. Now, in my 17, I've not got Callum Watkins to start. So three tests. He might play in one of those games. Two of those games might play in all three. Who knows? We'll find out when it kicks off at Wembley on the 25th. But they bring so much experience. And Callum Watkins, I mean, he was the signing of the mid-season when he moved from Salford to Leeds. And Alex Walmsley's just a big body that hopefully will cause the Aussies some problems, because they've got some big players themselves.
I think Alex Walmsley deserves to be in. This was the thing with Luke Thompson. My initial reaction was shock that he wasn't in. And then I thought about it and looked who was in the squad, and I've gone, well, actually, you'd have Matty Lees. Matt McMeekan, for me, was the best prop in the comp this year. I thought Alex Walmsley, in all the big games, showed up for Saints. Owen Trout deserved to be in and provides versatility. And I'm starting to look at it going, actually, where does Luke Thompson get in?
That's the problem, isn't it? Shaun Wane can only pick 24 players. We're talking about players here that you need a 40-man squad to be able to fit all these in. So there are going to be some tough choices and big names that miss out. So you're absolutely right there.
I think that the Bateman one's probably the one where I go, oof. But how many times have we heard Shaun Wane go credit in the bank? And it goes back to what we're saying about Jake Connor and the halves. John Bateman has done it for a long time for Shaun Wane, and you have to say he does play well for England, other than when he was moved into the centres and it didn't really work in the 2017
Yeah,
World
he's
Cup,
a back row, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. So I get it. And I think he'll play. I think he will play.
I think he plays. And I don't think you find more passionate players than John Bateman, especially on the international level. I mean, at club level, he's passionate, and on the international level, he brings out his best, as you said.
I think what I would say is if John Bateman doesn't play well, that will be the selection that Shaun Wane gets criticised for the most, because I don't think he would get in many outsiders squads right now. You know, there's Matty Nicholson, there is Nsemba. I mean, I don't think Nsemba's played well enough to be in the squad, personally, but I thought Matty Nicholson had a good season.
His injury probably was the only reason that maybe prevented him from being in that 24-man
squad. Maybe not in the forefront of people's minds, but James McDonnell had a good year. James Batchelor had a good year. I think there were who provide that same steel and toughness as John Bateman, but he's got the credit in the bank. So
I think that the eyes are going to be on him the most, aren't they? And if that doesn't work out, then that's when the people will start questioning Shaun Wane. But then if it works out and John Bateman performs as well as we know he can, then it's an absolutely golden by Shaun Wane. And
I think this is where we always have to go back to it and go, look, Shaun Wane's been in charge of England for 5 years. He came in around COVID, didn't he? So he didn't get the Ashes in 2020. He took England to a World Cup semi-final when, now people go, failure. If we cast our minds back, people giving England no chance in that tournament at all. and they made a semi-final, lost in Golden Point. And then we've won 2 test series. Whitewashers. So I go, well, maybe we just need to trust this guy and go, you look at what he's done at Wigan, maybe he knows better than us.
Yeah, he's got all the experience there, hasn't he? He's proven. I think, he said it on your podcast on Monday that no one gave him any chances in those 2 test series and in the World Cup. So, yeah, I think once it gets to kick-off, we will talk about the squad now for maybe the next week or so, but once it gets to kick-off, you want the whole nation supporting Shaun Wane and the players, the 17 players, the 24 players that represented that shirt.
And you know that he will use all the talk about how good the Aussies are to his advantage. He's done it all his coaching career, the siege mentality is against the world. And let's be right, on paper, Australia do have a better squad. They do. There's no point trying to deny it. I mean, they have to pick between Dylan Edwards or Reece Walsh at fullback. I mean, it's just absolutely ridiculous. It's just ludicrous, isn't it? So they will go in as favourites, and rightfully so. But I'll say this, I don't think it'll be a whitewash. I know everyone will tip it. I don't think it will be. I just, there's something about England and Shaun Wane teams throughout his career, it doesn't normally play out like that.
Yeah,
so.
And we saw in the World Cup opener, again, not many gave him a chance against Samoa, and I know obviously they lost in the semi-finals, but they ripped them apart in Newcastle. So with 55, 60,000 at Wembley, hopefully more, maybe they can do the same, and then Australia go, oh, wow, we weren't expecting that. And then it's game on for two more games after that.
Yeah, right. So don't forget, 50,000 tickets sold now. Do try and get some tickets for that Ashes test at Wembley. It's going to be a cracker. Right, okay. So normally at this time, we do a prediction show, but it's a bit too early for predicting the first test because that's for next week. So what we are going to do is something a little bit different, and we are going to predict our 17 for game 1. Now, of course, we do predictions every week. The script says not to mention the fact that I won the overall table, but of course I did. I beat Kyle. Thanks for coming, Kyle, and the guests. So you've got a chance to try and dethrone me as predictions champion here with a one-off. Get your England 17 right. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll go through positions one by one, and then we'll see who comes out on top. Who got the most selections?
I like how you say one-off, but me and Smells, were a part of it for obviously the start of it, and we did predictions then, and we don't know who won that one. So I'd like to go back. It
was me. I don't know what your point is. Right. Okay. So fullback,
Jack Welsby.
Agree. Wingers,
Dom Young and Joe Burgess.
Right, this is going to be boring, isn't it? Centres.
Well, it's Herbie, isn't it, and Jake Wardle?
Yeah, they're locks. I just can't see a reality where they don't. Halves.
George Williams and Mikey Lewis. So I think we might be in agreement again there, no?
For the sake of the show, because I really am split on who will play in the halves after speaking to Shaun on Monday. It would be Williams, but I'll go Harry Smith. Now, this is difficult because you don't know how he's going to do his rotations, but who are your 2 starting props?
I know. This is where it does start getting difficult, and even at hooker. That I've gone with Matty Lees and Mike McMeekan.
Oh, for goodness sake.
The exact same.
So have I. So have I. Yeah, I think he'll start those 2.
The 9 is interesting because, as I say, both of those hookers in Darryl Clark and Jez Litton are almost the same type of player, aren't they? So it depends if he wants to put a hooker on the bench. I mean, if you've got an 80-minute hooker, then you can stack up on the bench for forwards. But in the 17.5 pits, I've put Darryl Clark start at 9.
So have I.
They might be skipping this part in the podcast.
I have. I think he'll do that. What about your back rowers?
I just think because of the credit in the bank statement, it looks like John Bateman will start, and then for me, it's Kai Pearce-Paul.
This isn't going well, is it?
I mean,
the bench is going to have to be different.
Yeah. I mean, I know our defence, we're choosing 17 from 24.
Yeah, we are.
A lot we're going to be alike.
And you're starting loose?
Morgan Knowles.
Right, what about your bench? I think this is where we could maybe be split.
Yeah, the bench is where it gets interesting. So, as I say, if you might want an 80-metre hooker, but that's a lot to ask for against the Aussie. So I have gone Jez Litton on the bench, Ethan Havard, Morgan Smithies, and Alex Walmsley. Now, Walmsley's an interesting one. I was tossing if to start him or not, but I had a chat with the producer before, and he said if you can get him on just before half time for 15 minutes, and then you can have him 15 minutes in the second half, then you're getting a big impact from him. So I think I last minute sort of changed him and put him on my bench and started Matty Lees, who obviously has a big engine.
I'm going to go seriously left field here. Seriously left field. So you've not got Mikey Lewis in your squad, by the way. In 17.
Lewis was in my.
Oh, sorry. So you know Harry Smith.
I know Harry Smith,
Right.
which is a big call because at the start of the year and all throughout, I thought Harry Smith, George Williams, Harry Smith will command it and he'll kick it. But Mikey Lewis is just proving that he can do that too.
Right. People are going to think I'm mad here, but I've got a feeling that Jez Litton and Mikey Lewis will be on the bench. I think he'll go with two. With two
Against a big pack.
I do. And I'll tell you why. I think he'll go Alex Walmsley as my third prop and then Morgan Smithies.
So no Ethan Havard.
I'll tell you why I think it. In Mike McMeekin and Matty Lees, he's got two at least 60, 70 minute props, right? You've got Morgan Knowles and Morgan Smithies who can... Morgan Smithies does big minutes, big minutes. And Morgan Knowles can do 2 stints. Alex Walmsley can do the stint that you've spoken about. I don't think he needs another middle. I think he'll trust them to do the minutes, and I think he might go with the two of them on the. I think he might go with Litton and Lewis on the bench.
My biggest question there then is where do you bring on Mikey Lewis?
Yeah, great question. I just think he'll do it as a bit of X factor later on in the game. I do, honestly. I don't know why. I've just got this feeling that it's going to really. I've got it in my head because just something that Shaun said on Monday. I made a reference about being a gambler, or say if he went, I'm a gambler. And he spoke about a few things. And I just thought, piecing it all together, I've come up in my mind that Litton and Lewis will be on the bench.
And that is a gamble.
And then Walmsley and Smithies.
Yeah, that is a gamble. You mentioned these players are 80-minute players or 60, 70-minute players, but the international games are another level, isn't it? To play 60, 70, 80 minutes on the international game, you're asking a lot there. So
the only concern I really have with that is if a centre was to go down or a back row goes down, where there's not a lot of movement in the team. Is there?
Yeah.
Because you've got essentially 2 middles, a hooker,
and a halfback that you're, by the sounds of it, playing at loose forward or somewhere in the middle. Because you're not taking off Harry or George, are you?
No.
On the 50, 60th minute. So you're putting Michael Lewis in the middle and saying...
I don't know why.
This
is maybe me, and my friends know this. I am a gross overthinker. I've just got it in my head. It's going to happen. So we'll see. Or maybe I've just done it for the sake of the prediction show. Who knows?
It makes for a good headline.
Yes. Well, I'm going to get hammered for that. But anyway, it's been lovely to have you on, Josh.
Yes. Thanks for having me back. Yeah, it's to say the studio's great. The audience has grown. The YouTube channel's great. I've enjoyed all the guests. So hopefully I'll when this goes live, I'll get on all my burner accounts and say, welcome back, Josh, and bring him back.
Hopefully, there's a lot of people abusing him, so we never have to have him back, but we will see. Well, that is full time on this episode of Back 10 by All Out Rugby League, powered by Smart Energy GB, the team helping households across Great Britain take control of their energy use with smart meters. A smart meter lets you see exactly how much energy you're using so you can save where it matters. Until next time, enjoy yourself and enjoy your rugby league. Take care.